Okay. Okay, we're live. Another short stream here. We're going to cover first Paul Brandt removed from Alberta Teachers Convention lineup. I think we all know, maybe you haven't been following the story, but the timing here seems fishy, which I'll bring up in a second, but given his social media post. But anyway, we'll read this summary from Grok here. Paul Brandt removed from Alberta Teachers Convention lineup. North Central Teachers Convention Association announced Brandt as a speaker for their February 5 to 6 event in Edmonton, promoting his hashtag Not in My City initiative against human trafficking and child exploitation. But his session vanished from the schedule, sparking backlash from figures like MP Michelle Rempel-Garner and W. Brett Wilson. I actually randomly met W. Brett Wilson one time in a doctor's waiting room. He maybe, I'm sure he won't see this video, but I don't know if he would remember that because I'm not famous and he is, who praised his child protection work. And I'm just going to go down. W. Brett Wilson here. The Alberta teachers must be ashamed of their leadership, canceling Paul Brandt as a speaker, one of Canada's greatest musicians ever. Indeed. Yeah. So, I don't know the exact story, but according to this summary, it looks like he just kind of quietly got taken off the list. You've completely lost the plot when you start canceling an honorable man who has made it his life's mission to advocate for the protection of our children. This is Tamara Litch. At Paul Brandt is obviously flying directly over the target. A minute-long video here from Berta Proud Dad, who had a very funny speech at that influencer meetup. I guess that would have been last week. And now let's take a look at this 1 minute long video from Berta Proud Dad.
If you're Albertan, you know exactly who Paul Brandt is. Absolutely you do. Paul Brandt runs a non-for-profit called Not in My City, which...
Okay, I'm not actually going to play that because it's got the music in the background. I don't want to muck this up because I turned this... What the heck is this, bro? Okay, whatever. I'll just keep moving because I'm not going to get a whole lot of this video if I'm not going to play the audio, but who cares? Michelle Rempel-Garner, did Alberta teachers cancel Paul Brandt as a speaker? If so, why? Paul is a model citizen who has used his platform to make the world a safer place for vulnerable persons. As an Albertan, I want to know what happened. Yeah, that's very fair. I would like to know what happened too, because so far I don't think there's been no statement that I've seen, at least circulating on social media. Alberta Teachers Association speakers list, according to Michelle Rempel here. Convicted murderer, check mark apparently. Upstanding award-winning Albertan country music singer who uses his platform to prevent human trafficking. No. So pretty weird stuff. We'll see what happens with this story. If there's a follow-up, I'm going to move on to some other stuff, although I will show this here first. This is perhaps why that he was removed, I guess. It's all speculation because we don't have much of a statement on the other side.
Musician Paul Brandt posted a photo on social media Saturday that has many wondering where he stands on Alberta independence. The post shows him walking down a highway with the lyrics to his iconic 2004 tune, Alberta Bound, superimposed over the photo. In bold letters, Brandt highlighted the lyric, "I've got independence in my veins. We have reached out."
Yeah, you can see that better. It's just this video is in short form, but anyway, that line in the middle, I've got independence in my veins. I should have been a singer, I think. Okay, we're going to move on to a different story here. Similar-ish. Hello, Kev. By the way, I won't be reacting to the chat too much today. I'm just going to kind of do a quick stream and move through, but this video is very funny. The financial costs of an independent Alberta, posted 10 hours ago. I wanted to react to this. It's already got 18,000 views. Wow. The guy giving some takes on the costs towards the end makes some, I think, pretty absurd arguments. We'll take a look here.
Well, many Albertans have been lining up for the past year to sign a petition either to stay in Canada or support independence. The group behind Alberta's separatist movement is now doing a feasibility study on how an independent Alberta would be able to fund itself. To talk more about the economics of separation, we welcome Moshe Lander, who is an economics professor living here in Alberta.
I didn't even have my face on the screen there for most of that. Whoops, I removed it to L stream, snakes, the word bastard. Did he say bastard? Did someone say bastard? I didn't even catch that.
Alberta. Thanks so much for joining us for this conversation. First of all, what are the costs of being an independent nation, potentially that people aren't really talking about or thinking about right now?
You have to build an entire nation then. You need border control, which means that you're going to need to have some sort of army. You're going to have your provincial police force. You're going to have a passport. You're going to have a central bank. You're going to need to have a diplomatic corps. And so for a government that's...
But people know this, bro. Like, people are aware of what is needed on a high level to have a government. People aren't so stupid. Oh, you're going to need a central bank. You're going to need border control. Yeah. Everybody... You would learn that maybe when you're in grade school, just basics about how a country works.
Looking to constantly try and slim down the provincial civil service, you're in fact going to expand it massively because you're going to have to duplicate everything that goes on in hated Ottawa now in Edmonton. And then all of a sudden, you have to worry about all of the taxation components that are going to be necessary for Alberta citizens to be able to fund their independent life.
Yeah, but the theory is there would be less waste and, of course, no equalization payments. And then just, yeah, you could run things tighter in a smaller space, not so much. And then, by the way, I mean, I haven't even thought about this, or I never even thought about this when I was playing this video. What about all the ridiculous spending to Ukraine, to Vietnam, to all these countries when Canada is not in a position to be doing that much foreign aid? In my opinion, maybe a little bit in very specific cases, but come on, man. We are not doing very well as a nation.
It sounds expensive. It sounds complicated. It sounds like a big, heavy lift. Now, we rely a lot on investment in this province. What would that situation be like if we were our own independent nation?
It would plunge. Alberta becomes a landlocked country the moment that it separates. And for everybody...
This guy's speaking with a lot of certainty here.
Who thinks that the U.S. is going to be there
it's already landlocked. Anyway, I'll let him go.
Support Alberta, like we've seen some of the people within the separatist group talking. The issue, of course, is that the Americans don't want Alberta. They want Alberta oil, and they already have access to that through the pipelines that exist into the U.S. But the idea of Alberta being part of the U.S. is a complete non-starter.
By the way, that's good that USA wants Alberta oil, and then Alberta wants to sell it to them. That sounds, I don't, is he saying negatives or positives here?
The separatist groups themselves have identified they don't want that themselves. So what exactly then is going to happen when you're a landlocked country? How are you going to be able to get all of your products out? You're going to have to cross Canada. And at that point, then Canada can impose tariffs. The U.S. can impose tariffs. And for the
Canada can do what? Not want you to build a pipeline to the western coast? Is that what Canada could do? Is that happening right now?
Separatist group that says, well, we're going to impose tariffs on goods that try to cross through an independent Alberta. Guess what? People will find their way around it because they're not going to want to deal with Alberta. And Alberta's not going to have nearly as much leverage as they believe they will when they separate out.
Bro, they'll have more. They won't have to deal with Ottawa. They'll have way more. They'll just have more power to govern their own affairs, bro. Come on.
Complicated as this all seems, it's not new. Quebec has gone through its own separation vote, very famously, very close. What kind of consequences there from that vote should people be paying attention to now here in Alberta?
So while I live in Alberta, I do teach in Quebec, and it's very clear that businesses raced out of here in the 1990s during that referendum and in the aftermath. The most telling one is that the Bank of Montreal, with a long history of being in Quebec, is actually headquartered in Toronto. And they left as a result of the referendum where they said, we don't need this uncertainty in our lives. Businesses don't like uncertainty. And we've seen that in the last 12 months with all of the menacing coming from the US with terror.
I did a stream earlier today on the Quebec independence, just a few short videos I covered. I didn't know this story about BMO. I mean, I'll look that up, I guess. I'll look it up right now, actually, as he's going.
Talk and trade disruption. The last thing that they want is additional self-inflicted uncertainty. And so they raced away and never came back. The reality is that people would leave as well, as they have in Quebec, because they don't necessarily want to be part of an independent country. And there was talk at the time that if Quebec can separate, can Montreal separate from Quebec? You could very easily imagine that there's pockets within Alberta they're going to say, we don't want to be a part of an independent Alberta or whatever the premier is using as.
Okay, so I just asked this to ChatGPT. I mean, look, it's ChatGPT. I don't think this is a like to fact check somebody using ChatGPT. I don't think it's totally sufficient. But anyway, Did BMO leave Quebec because of the separatist movement in 95? No, the Bank of Montreal did not leave Quebec because of the 95 separatist sovereignty movement or the referendum. Here's what's accurate and what's myth. BMO still widely operates. Headquarters and operations history. BMO was founded in 1817. Its operational headquarters were moved to Toronto in 77, well before the 80 or 95 Quebec independence referendums. So, I mean, I don't know, bro. He mentioned, I believe, the 95 vote. If it left in 77, rumors versus reality. There have been rumors or speculation that BMO or other corporations moved business out of Montreal because of the political uncertainty around separatism, but those accounts exaggerate or misstate the timeline, bro. And again, I mean, it's AI, so AI can hallucinate, but bro, in short, no, BMO didn't leave Quebec because of the 95 separatist movement. Again, whatever. I'm not even, I'm putting a caveat on my own statement because in the moment, fact checking with AI. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. We'll continue.
Word salad. And so they might decide that they want to vote themselves to remain in Canada. You could have a complete disaster on your hand. And that's when businesses say, you know what? I think I'm just going to move to Kelowna or Saskatoon or Regina. And if I'm the mayors of those cities, I'm jumping up and down on the table right now saying, come over here because we have no plans of leaving Canada.
Really quickly before
this final point, I watched this video earlier today. This final point is so funny.
you go, what about equalization? A lot of people think that we get a raw deal economically with Ottawa. What do you say to that?
The average amount paid is under $600 per person in Alberta. So we're prepared to rip up the country and go our own way over $600. I get cost of living is a major issue for people right now, but $600 over 52 weeks works out to about $12 a week. I don't think that's enough to try and tear apart a country over.
Okay, well,
I'll just take him at his word with the math. If it's so small, then why do they pay it? That argument makes no sense. Why don't you go tell Quebec, well, but it's only like $12 a week or something, so we're not going to pay this anymore. There's no argument there. If it's such a small number, then why does it get paid? That's so crazy, man. Anyway, I thought that was definitely funny. Hopefully you think that's funny too. If you're watching, if you don't, I mean, I don't know what to